When you install WooCommerce on your WordPress website, the layout you get is very bland, and you also can't go in and customize it and make it look the way you want. So pretty much this is the page. As you can see, we have a product here, but there's very little that we can do to customize this page. Now, things have changed. Divi has announced the WooCommerce builder, and in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you step by step how to transform this page into this page. Now, this product is the same, but I was able to go in and really structure this page and make it look the way I really want it to look, including the colors and also adding other modules like this testimonial module. I also have here this reviews. I've also changed the color of the reviews. Most important of all, I've also added a video that also talks about this product, and this could also be a sales video that you can create separately. So this is the flexibility that we have now with the WooCommerce builder from Divi. If you haven't bought Divi yet and you're considering to buy Divi, if you buy it using my affiliate link, I will give you access to 2 of my bonuses. The first one is the Divi Blueprint 3 course, which teaches you how to design websites using Divi. The second course is the Photoshop for web designers. Now, this course is ideal if you really want to work on your websites, make them look attractive, crop them, and optimize them for your website. So this is Photoshop for web designers. All you have to do is to buy Divi using my link in the description below, and just drop me an email and I will give you access to those courses. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let me show you step by step how I managed to create this page. Okay, so I'm right here in my WordPress admin dashboard. So the very first thing that we need to do is to add a product. So I'm going to come over here to products, click on add new. We're going to call this product Merrell GTX. So this is going to be the name of our shoe. And then over here, we want to add a description of the shoe. So I'm just going to use some lorem text here. I'm just going to copy these 2 paragraphs and paste them in here. We also need to add a price. So let's say this shoe costs $199. And over here, we also want to add a short description. So I'm just going to paste my short description here. Now, this is where we want to add our product image. So I'm going to click here on add product image, and this is our product. I'm going to set my product image. And then over here, I can also add some images for the gallery. So I'm going to click here on add to gallery. And I'm just going to hold down my shift key to select multiple images. So I'm just going to go with, in fact, I'll just go with these 2 images. Click on add to gallery. So now you can see my 2 images are now added to the gallery. The next thing we need to do now is to just come over here. Now, this is very important. We have an option here to choose the right, to remove the right bar, but there's an option here to say no sidebar. But before we do that, we want to first publish this page because now we have all the information that we need for our product. So now we just need to publish. So now that our page is published, the next stage is to click here where it says use the Divi builder. So I'm going to click here. Now we need to come over here to our Divi page settings and click here on this drop down. So we get now options to have no sidebar or full width. So for this design to be custom, in order for us to add all our sections and have them go across the whole page, we need to use the option for full width. So this is very important. If you go with no sidebar, you won't have the ability to add all your sections across the design. All right, so I'm going to go with a full width, and then I'm going to click on update. So now that we have all the elements of our products, I want to build this now from the front end. So I'm going to click here on build from front end. And first of all, you notice that this will come with our default layout. So I'm just going to leave this in here for reference purposes, but I'm going to start building my design now. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here and click this plus button to add a full width post title. So I'm going to select my post title. Now over here on the elements, I want to make sure I disable all this and remove the image as well and just leave the show title. So that's all we need from this. Next, I'm going to come over here to my background, click on the 3rd tab and then add an image. Now I already have my image here in my media library. So I'm just going to go ahead and select it, click upload an image. So now we can see our image is right there in our design. Right, so moving on, as you can see, this image here does not have enough margins. and padding. So I am going to be adding this in a moment. But before I do that, we need to add a gradient to this image. So I'm going to click here on the second tab, click this plus button, and then I'm going to add my first color, which is going to be this really dark. In fact, that looks like black. So that's going to be my first color. And then I'm going to click here on my second color, and I'm going to make this transparent. So right now we can't see anything here on our image. That is because we need to place this gradient above the image. So I'm going to click here to place it above the image, but our direction needs to come from the bottom. So I'm just going to change this to 1 degree. Okay, so that's looking great. I am going to save this for now and then drag it all the way to the top. Go all the way here to the top, because it's better for me to work here where I can see it. So the next stage now is to go into my module settings, and I'm going to go into design, text, and I'm going to center this text first of all, and then I'm going to come over here to my title text. So this is where I'm going to change this from default to pop-ins. I'm also going to make it all caps, and I'm also going to change the color. So now you can see my color is easier to read on that dark background. On my title, on my font weight here, I'm going to set this to bold because that reads much better. And then I'm just going to increase my size. So let's bring it up to about, let's say 44. I think that looks nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a drop shadow here. So I'm going to add my drop shadow by just clicking here. So we are going to come back later here to customize it. Okay, so the next stage now is to add some padding. So I'm going to come over here to my padding and just set this to 2 VW. So that's going to be both for the top and the bottom. And then all I have to do now is to increase by just dragging this slider. Okay, so you can decide how much of this image you want to show. So I think I'm going to go with 12 VW. In fact, let's go with 10. So now the next stage is to start building the layout of our page. So I'm going to save this for now, and I might as well just delete all these sections below here because I don't need them anymore. And the beauty of this new WooCommerce builder is I can now go in and add all my modules that I need on this page much easier. All I have to do is to pull them from the database and just allocate them. So I don't have to have the layout that I have in order for me to customize the page. All right, so back over here, I'm going to click here on this plus button and add a regular section. And I'm going to add some columns. So the columns I'm going to need here are this one here. And in the first column, I'm going to add an image. So this is going to be Woo Images. So I'm going to select that. So right away, you can see it brings the contents of this particular product. But if you want, you can go in and really specify which product it is. So of course, this is Merrill GTX. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to save this. Now over here to the right, we can also add some elements like the Woo title, the product title. So here we go. I'm going to select that. So right now I'm just adding all my elements. Then I can go back in later and customize them. Next, I'm going to add my video module because ideally I would like to have a promo video for this product. So I'm going to select that. Now quickly, what I really like doing here is to add an overlay image. So I'm going to click here on overlay, click this plus button, and I'm going to add my image for my video. So by adding an overlay image now, you can see that everything just looks beautiful because it's all in context. All right, so I'm going to save that. Now we're going to need the description of this shoe. So I'm going to add another module, and this is going to be our Woo description. So I'm just going to scroll here. Here we go. Woo description. So that's my description right there. And again, I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to save that. Next, I'm going to add my reviews. So I'm going to search for Woo reviews. There we go. Just add it like that. I'm going to save that. Right. So moving on, we also need to add our add to cart button and the price. So I'm going to click here on this plus button, search for add to cart. And again, we're going to go in and customize it. Save that. And then finally, we need the pricing. So I'm going to click this plus button and Woo price. And there we go, 99, and save that. So pretty much I have all the elements that I need for this section. So the next stage now is to add another row. And this is what's going to have our testimonial and also our product description, and also have the part where it allows us to add our reviews. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go with this layout. And here is where we're going to add our Woo tabs. Select it, save that. And then here we're going to add our testimonial. So as you can see, you can pretty much go in and add any elements that you need on the page. And then after you've added all the elements, you can go in and start customizing the page, to your heart content. So this is why I really like this. So now that we have all these elements on our page, finally, we need to add one more section, which is going to have our call to action. So I'm going to click here on regular, single column. And here we're going to have a call to action. Select that, go to my background and say no to the background because I don't need a background to that. Save that. And then here, I'm going to go in and add a background image. So I'm going to click on this third tab and click on this plus button. The image I'm going to go with is, let's go with this one right here. Click upload an image. So as you can see, our text here is quite difficult to read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a dark color here. In fact, we're going to go with black, and then back over here on the image tab, we are going to come over here on the blend mode. And this is where we can set this to multiply, go back to our color, and then just drag the slider down until we start seeing the image. So there we go. So I'm just going to leave it right here at 0.76. Great. So now I'm going to save this. All the elements that we need here for this page are all in place. Now it's time to go in and add our colors. So I'm going to start here with the section, come over here to background, and I'm going to click this plus button to add my background color. Now I know I'm going with a dark theme, but of course you can design this the way you want it. It doesn't have to have this dark theme. Next over here, I'm going to go into my row settings, click on design, spacing. So I need to give this area here some breathing space. So to do that, I'm going to come over here to my padding and I'm just going to add 3 VW here. So that's going to be applied top, bottom, left, and right. Right, so now that we have this, we can now go in and add a background color. So I'm going to come over here to content, click on background. So I can choose any color that I want now. So I can go with this color, for example, and then just drag it all the way down. And then I'm going to save. So I've just added some transparency to this. So as you can see, now our page is really taking shape. Now, ideally, if you want this design to really look nice, you need to start off with a color palette where you have colors that match your branding. So this is really what makes your page really stand out. All right, so now that we have all our elements, I'm going to start going in now and start adding all my colors. So I'm going to start here with the title. So I'm going to click here on this gear icon, design. And then I'm going to come over here to my title text and add my color. So what I'm doing as I'm adding my color here, I'm actually playing around with this to see which colors work best as I'm actually designing this. Okay, so I'm pretty much happy with that. I don't need to increase the size, so I'm going to save that. Next, I'm going to come over here to this text right here, the description text, click on the gear icon, design, text, and try some different colors here. So I think I'll go with this color here. Okay, so that looks nice. But what I'm going to do here is to change my font from default to Poppins because I really like my fonts here to be all the same. I'm going to save this. And you know what? I'm going to come back here to the title because I don't really like the color of the title. So back over here, I'm going to choose this color right here. I think that looks much better. So I've added my text here. Next, we're going to work on the review. So what I normally do here with the review is, first of all, I'm going to go in and change my elements. So I can show the author avatar. So in this case, I don't want to show the author avatar, and also the comment count. Do I really need that? Maybe not. So I've just disabled that. Okay, so now it's time to work on this. So I'm going to click here on background and let's see what colors we can use for the review. So as I mentioned, I would ideally like the colors that work with our design here. So I'm going to go with that, but it's a bit too much. So I'm going to choose a color which is not too bright. So this matches the shoe, which is really nice. But again, I want something that's a bit darker. Okay, I think I'm going to go with that. All right, so now let's continue and customize this. So ideally, we want some breathing space around this review. So to do that, you want to come over here to spacing and let's start with 10 pixels. So the reason why I start off with a low number here is just to see how much space we have, and then we can just use this dial to customize it. So as you can see, I'm just dragging in here. I think 20, in fact, maybe 15 is fine. Okay, so let's go with 16. Now that I have all that information, I'm going to come over here to the star rating and change the colors. So the star rating color, I'm going to choose colors here from our color palette. And I'm also going to change text color here. And we're also going to change the font because ideally we want to have our font pretty much look the same. Okay, so we have our rating there. Now the text is a bit too much. I'm going to make it a bit smaller. So I'm going to go with, I'd say 12 pixels. That looks great. And then we're also going to come over here to our text, change this from default to pop-ins. Right, so we've got more things to customize here. We also need to work on the button. So I'm going to come over here on the fields. So fields background color. We want a color which is also a bit dark because we don't want everything to be really in your face. So fields text color, we're going to go with that. I think that's fine. And the fields font changes to pop-ins. And we're also going to reduce the size. It's a bit too much. Now I know as I'm adding this, it's a lot of work adding all this information, but you know what? It's going to look great once you've styled it. And this looks really nice because this will look different to any other product out there. All right, so now that we have this in place, let's work on the button. So I'm going to click here on use custom styles for button. And we're going to start with the text size. I'm going to make it smaller. So let's go with 15. Now let's play around with the colors for our button. So I'm going to add my background color. And again, I'm going to play with some colors which make my button stand out. So let's have a look. I'm not sure if that's going to work for us. So let's try this one here. Nope, it's a bit too much. Okay, I really like that. So I'm going to go with that. And over here on our border radius, I'm going to remove the border radius. And also we have a border around this. So I'm going to remove the border as well. So now it's just the button. So all I have to do now is to go in and change my button text color and also the button font. So I'm going to come over here and choose pop-ins. And this time I'm going to make it all caps. And from regular, let's try semi-bold. And I'm going to also add, in fact, you know what? I was going to add some letter spacing, but I think that looks great as it is. All right, so I'm going to leave this as it is. And I think this looks really nice. And the colors that we have here really work well together. Okay, so there's one more thing that I need to go in and fix here, and that is the text. So I'm going to change this from dark to light. Now, by doing this, it just makes it easier for us to read what's on this background. All right, so now I'm going to save this, and then we're going to move to the next item, and this is now our add to cart button. And to be honest, ideally, this position here is not great. So let's drag this up here. And let's go in now and customize this. All right, so I'm going to come over here to design. And then since this is a button, we need to click here on use custom styles for button. And let's start by adding a background color. So the color we're going to go with is, try that, or we can choose a totally different color. Okay, we're going to go with that. I really like that. Right, next I'm going to just make this all caps. Now, to be honest, I don't think all caps works. All right, so let's come over here, change our font from default to pop-ins. And we're also going to change this from regular to medium. And we're going to remove the border radius. And we're also going to remove the border width. So now it's just the button. So I prefer to have it this way. Now on the colors here, I can also change my button color. So let's see what colors we can go with. So I think this color here works well. And next I'm going to then work on the next item, which is the fields. So the field background color, again, we have to try and play around with colors that could work here. So I'm just trying these around to see which one works. Maybe we could go with black. I think black works. And we might as well change the font here as well. So I'm going to come over here to default, change this to pop-ins. And we can also customize this if we need to. Let's reduce the size a little bit. And as you can see here, we have this line height. I mean, I'm going to leave the line height as it is, but I can see some rounded corners. Exactly. So here it is. I'm going to give this 0. So everything just looks rectangular. I don't really like these rounded corners on this design. All right. So this area here is looking great. I'm happy with that. Now it's the pricing. So I'm going to save this. We're going to drag the pricing all the way up. And ideally, the pricing needs to be above the add to cart button. So I'm going to click here on my gear icon, click on design, pricing text. I can change this from default to pop-ins. We can increase the size a little bit and change the color. Does that color work? Yeah, I think that color works. So as you can see, we've quickly gone in and worked on the main part of our product. We've customized it and we've added all the elements that we need for that particular part of the product. And this is how we can easily customize this page. So with this now in place, let's go ahead and continue working on the other parts of our design. All right, so I'm going to save this and then I'm going to come to the bottom here. So first things first, we would like to create the container for this area here. So I'm going to click on my row settings and we're going to give this some breathing space by coming over here to spacing. And I'm going to give this a padding of, let's start with 30. So this is going to be 30 left and right as well. And then back over here, we're going to give this a color. So I'm going to come to the background. Now, as you can see, I'm actually playing around with different colors here from our color palette to see which colors work. So I can be safe with these colors because I know these colors are definitely going to work because they're automatically generated for us by this color manager. I think I'd like a darker version of this. I think I'm going to go with that. That looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to save this and I can see here that ideally it's best to separate these two. So let me go back here and add some margins. So I'm going to come back to spacing and I'm just going to add maybe 18 and then save. All right, so let's start working on this part here, the description. So I'm going to click on this gear icon and let's start with the background. So I'm going to give this a background color. I'm going to come over here to design, and on the tabs as well, we have the flexibility of going in and choosing our tabs background color. And I really like this because we can go in and customize pretty much anything that we need here. So that's looking great. The next stage now is to add our font. So I'm going to choose Poppins for this. And I'm also going to choose my font for my description here. Change it from default to Poppins. Now here is where we can get a bit fancy. So if I need to change the color of that, I can just come in and change it to that. But you know what? I think the default here is fine. All right, so I'm going to save this. And then over here now, let's work on our testimonial. So I'm going to click here on module settings. And I'm going to start here with adding the name. So let's call this lady Amanda Jones. So we're not going to worry about the job title here. And let's just go to our lorem text here and just copy a paragraph and just override what we have in here. Now, ideally, this looks great when it's centered. So before we center it, we want to come over here to our elements and remove that quote. Don't really like it. And then over here on the background, I'm going to play around with transparency here for our testimonial. So I think I'm going to go with that. And then now let's go to our design. In fact, you know what? Let's might as well add our image. So I'm going to come over here to my image and add our lady here. And what we need to do next is to make sure that that text is easier to read. So I'm going to come over here to design and scroll down until we get our text. So here is where we can just center it globally. And for the body text, we can change the color now. So I think that color looks really nice. Happy with that. Okay. Now this background color here, you can be, if you want, you can just remove the color altogether like that, if you prefer that. But you know what? I was trying to be fancy here. I'm not sure what I'm going to go with. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to leave this as it is. Finally, I need to go in and change my font from default to Poppins. And now everything looks much better. So in terms of the alignments here, we can see that we have some space here on the top. So let's go in and fix that. I'm just going to reduce the size a little bit here as well. Okay, so that's better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scroll down to spacing, and for the margin top, I'm going to set this to 0, and also for the padding, set this to 0. So now you can see everything has been pushed into position. All right, so we're going to save this, and that looks really nice already. Okay, so moving on. Now over here, we can go in and also work on our text and our content. So I'm going to change my description in here by just copying the text here, the dummy text from my call to action. Paste it like that. And then over here, we can say, get your 10% discount. So this could be a situation where we are promoting a product, or we want people to sign up on the mailing list. So when they sign up, they get like a 10% discount, or they get a coupon code, or just, something to help promote your shop or that particular product that you are promoting. So this is Also a very good idea of adding something that entices people to want to be a part of your company. All right, so I'm going to say get your 10% discount. As you can see, the button here is not showing. That's because we haven't added a link. So in my case here, I'm just going to add a blank link. And now you can see the button is now showing. Next stage is to customize this text and also the button. So I'm going to click here on design text. So everything is all centered. That's great. So I'm going to come over here to title text, change this to Poppins. We can make this all caps if we need to, but you know what? I'm just going to leave it as it is. And over here now on the description text, I'm going to change it from default to Poppins. The size is okay. I'm not going to mess around with that. And all we need to do now is to customize our button. And in fact, you know what? The button could actually stay as it is. I'm just going to go in and click on use custom styles for button because I want to make this all caps, really emphasize this discount. All right, so I think that's all I need to do here. The next stage is to just make sure that this has a decent size. So let's go to sizing because this is where we can really adjust the width of this call to action. So let's leave it at 64% and center it, then save. Save the page. Now, if you really want to go fancy, you can go in and add section dividers. You can also add animation to this. But for this, I'm just going to keep things very, very simple. So now that I've saved the page, let's exit the Visual Builder and take a look at our final design. So here we go. So we have the title of our product here. We have our main product, and you can see here we can zoom in and pan around this image. We can change these images as well from the gallery here. And if you want to see this image enlarged, we just click on this little arrow and now we can see the full product. And this video here could be a sales video for the product. And when you click on add to cart, it adds the product to the cart. Now let's see what happens when we add our review. So I'm going to give this a 4-star and I'm going to say, love the product, and then submit. So now we can see the review is there, but it's something that you can choose to either have on your page or not. So in my case here, I would like people to leave their reviews on here, but in your case, it may be something like, maybe that's a bit too much for the page. So it's all up to you. So if you decide to remove it, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is to enable the Visual Builder here, and then you just go in and delete it. Now, what you can also do is instead of having the part where they add the review, you can also add the Woo rating. So if we add the rating now, you can see that it just shows the rating only on this part rather than have the review here. So this is something that you may want to do because people can come to this page and still see the review itself. So let's go in and customize this as well. So I'm going to go in here, click on my gear icon to go into my settings, design. So I'm going to start with the star rating. The colors seem okay. Let's just add some letter spacing here. So we're going to set it to 3 pixels, increase the size a bit to about, let's say 16. Right, so the colors here, I think the colors are okay, but if you need to change them, this is where you change the colors. So I'm just going to come back and choose a color that I think works here. So let me go with this darker version here. All right, so we're going to go with that for our reviews. And as you can see, the font there doesn't look really nice because it's still the default font. So let's change this from default to Poppins. That's looking great now. I'm happy with that. I'm going to save this, save the page one more time. So this is going to be our product page. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this what you need to do every single time you add a product onto your website? Well, the answer is no, because you can actually save this as a template. So when you add a default product, you can just load this up as a template. Now, let me show you how you can save this page as a template. So if I come back over here, you can click here on these 2 arrows. This is portability. I'm going to click on that. So you see, we have the ability here to export. So I could just say my products, export Divi Builder layout. And now that has been exported. So now I'm going to save this product. So next I'm going to exit the Visual Builder. Now, how do we add this product or this layout onto a new product? So let me show you how you do that. So the product I'm going to go with is, let's say I go with product 3. In fact, let's take a look at what it looks like right now. Okay, so I'm going to click here on Enable Visual Builder. And to import the layout, I'm going to click here on Expand Settings. Click on Portability. And this time we need to import. So I'm going to click here on the file, and this is going to take me to my downloads. I'm going to double click my products here. So what I can do is I can replace existing content, but I'm just gonna make sure this is checked, and then I'm gonna click on import Divi Builder layout. So notice what happens here. This title here is the title of this actual product, and this product here is the actual product of this page. And notice the price is taken on, and every single item here pretty much has the layout that we have. So you may be saying, well, Mac, this is not the layout that we're seeing because it's not full width. Well, for us to fix that, all I have to do now is to go to Edit Product. And then I'm going to change my layout here from no sidebar to full width. Click Update. And then I'm going to click on View Product. Okay, so this is now our product, full width, and it is looking great. As you can see, when I exported this, right, it had the product Merrill GTX on my layout, but when I imported it on this page, guess what happens? It took on this product title. So you don't have to go in and retype these titles because it pulls in all this information. So it pulls in the title, it pulls in the image, it pulls in the description, the pricing, the add to cart button. So this is custom to this page. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell notification. There'll be more tutorials about this coming through. All right, guys, see you in the next video.